Hi everyone, and welcome to what I call the Cork Angel. I created this last Christmas. I made a few of these for friends of mine, co-workers, and friends. And I thought it was a great, quick way to not only use up all the corks that I've collected. I love wine. Great excuse to drink wine. But it was also a way to have an outlet for my creativity and to raise awareness that there are many ways of doing crafts with corks. So as far as I know, this is the only version of this, or the only cork angel that I know of in creation. That may change. But of course I'm giving this out freely on YouTube, and I will put links to Patreon if you want to donate to this channel. I will also have link to my Etsy shop that will show you other crafts that in time I will actually be showing how those are made as well. A lot of them anyway. So today we're going to try and do this quick. I want to try and keep it under 10 minutes, which should be easy. These don't take long at all. What you'll need is a pair of scissors. I'm using Friskers, some high quality scissors, shears. You can use claw shears, whatever will cut paper or cardboard. A marble, a cork of course, some wire. In this case I'm going to be using some aluminum wire. I typically started with copper, and this is one of the examples. And so the marble is the head, the wire is for the arms, hands, and prayer pose, and the halo. The wings, as you see, and tail are going to come out of the plates. So what I do is I take like 4 plates, and this way I can cut out and get at least 4 sets of wings, or 2 sets of wings from each cut. So basically what I do is I start at the top end of the wing, and so I can just curve it in and go out in the main middle section, curve in, and then give myself a little edge to put them together on the behind of the cork. Okay. And while I have this, I'm going to cut out the tail, which is just basically a triangle, approximately 3 to 4 inches up to a tip. And because of its nature, you can actually exaggerate a little bit on the tail and the wings. So size isn't really that important. Proportionally, it all kind of works out. I've never really done the, two the same way, even though I got 4 the same, and 2 pairs of the wings the same. Okay. So starting with the wings, I got my little cork pad here, which will give, because the next step would be to put these together. Now, I know some of you are going to be a little uncomfortable with the fact that the plate bends one way and goes the other way. I always enjoyed this because it gives some sort of perspective and depth. But if that's really something that you're not really comfortable with, if there's a way that you can do it with getting them both to go the same way, by all means. So I'm going to put the wings together like this, and the tail underneath. So I got all the corners, the sharp corners, opposite of the tips of the wings and the bottom part of the tail all to come together. And what I'm going to do there is I'm going to take a skewer that I have and set it right in the center, and I'm going to punch a hole for the wire to go through. If that doesn't work, I also have a metal punch that I use, and I just give it a little tap. The skewer basically is to finish it off and to hold it together so it doesn't slip. The next step, we'll set that aside for a moment, is to cut the wire for the halo. And basically what I do is wrap it around the cork once to where it meets back on itself. Then I bend it like this and then tilt what's going to be the halo forward. Then I make another bend. So the halo is about 1 inch in circumference, maybe a little more, a little less. This depth here is really not that big of a deal because you can gauge it on the back of the cork. Keeping in mind you want to give yourself space for the marble to go on for the head. Now I take my little cutters, which I'll use these for the time being. I take about 3/4 of an inch after that second bend at the bottom, and I cut it. Now, while I have the wire, I'm going to take approximately a 3-inch section and fold it in half. So you got about 1.5 inches on each side. Again, depending on the size of the cork or whatever you're comfortable with, you can go a little bit longer, and you can always trim it. Now bear in mind, all this material I got for free. I didn't pay a single dime for any of this. It's all stuff that I found in my travels, and I created, you know, this out of things that I acquired. So indirectly, the corks, obviously I paid for the wine, but a lot of them I actually collected from people who also drink wine that typically throw the corks out. And I started saving them because I had heard that corks were going extinct, or cork trees. I don't know for sure if that's true. Never really looked at how that is, but for the sake of saving a few corks, that's what I'm going to go with. Now I'm going to turn this in to about 1/2 inch out on each side, and then turn this in. And again, if they're mismatched, it's not a big deal. And what you want to do is take your clamp and then move it up to where this tab, or what's going to be the hands in prayer pose, will be standing up. Now I'm going to take the wings and pull them up with the skewer if possible. Then I'm going to pull it off the edge of that and then feed the bottom part of the halo here, which has a pretty sharp point, so it should be fairly easy to get it through, and then feed that through that hole. And if you have to take them all apart, no big deal. I thought I was getting pretty good at this, so. Alright, so that's done. Now, the reason I have this circle cork too is it gives me kind of a template and a way of getting the round edges all to kind of match and work together. Now I'm going to take the cork and kind of eye up the spot that I want it to be at. So I typically go about, I'd say about 3/4 of an inch down, and I want to get the two seeds of grapes with the leaves facing front So in the back here, I'll punch a hole probably around here, and that'll be with the score. Or you can use the punch, or, you know, some sort of piece of metal that'll work going in there. Now you've piloted a hole, so it'll make it easier. For this aluminum wire is a little more forgiving than the copper wire. Typically the copper wire, you can just poke it right in with that. Now I'm going to have to trim a piece off of this because it's just a little too long. And what I'm going to do is, and I forgot to mention this, you are going to need a glue gun, which I've already preheated, and I'm going to go ahead and dab a little bit on the end of it like this, the end of the part that I put through the wings. And not a lot, because you don't want that to solidify. You want it to stay nice and small. This is just to keep it set inside that hole. And you might have to hold the halo. Alright, see, it took too long. Try again. You find your hole. And you go ahead and push that in. Now, try to position your wings as quickly as possible, because that glue will solidify or cool down quick. So there you go. That was pretty quick. I mean, now you're pretty much already there. It's just a little fine tuning at this point to get the wings and the tail to the positions you want them in. So I want to tilt the cork to the one side and put some glue, making sure it's centered. And then I'm going to take a little on the side. Now you can wait for this step because you're going to have to put the hands on, so that's what we'll do next. And more often than not, I usually just rest them on there and let it grip onto the cork naturally. And it typically stays all by itself. It doesn't really need any glue. But for this instance, I'm going to take and spot a little glue on this side. And another reason for this is you can get the wings positioned in ways. So if you want them to come in more, you can do that. Now these little stringers of glue, it's not a big deal. They pull off pretty easy after the project's done. So there, I've pulled them up, positioned them. Now I'm going to flip it over and take the wire and pull these into position on the back and put some glue here. Now this is for two reasons, just as added security to hold this all together, and the wings, but also because the string, the nylon string, which I have set aside here, and it can be fishing line, will work. I also have used burlap bag rope, or just any sort of natural kind of rope will work. If you just want to make another one out of wire, that's fine too. Again, your imagination and what you have around the house will work. Don't go out of your way to buy anything that you don't need to, because again, the whole purpose behind me doing these sort of crafts is to bring awareness that we live in the land of plenty. There's more than enough to go around, and if you look at what people throw out, it boggles the mind as to how they can even consider throwing things out that can be reused. And now apparently some countries are actually working it into their tax base to where they're actually paying people to repurpose, retool, and fix a lot of the things that they would typically throw away. So I'm going to try and get enough line off here. Unfortunately, it's all knotted up, but I'm going to pull it and give it a cut here. And again, the length is not a big deal. If you want it shorter, if you're going to use it as an ornament, you're not going to need as long as a line. I give a generous amount of line simply because I leave it up to the person who ends up with it to decide whether they want to shorten it or not, which they can. Now, I take again the glue gun on the back, and I want to use some of the excess that's on the end of the tip and put it on the frayed ends to hold them together, and then I brush it onto the glued part on the back. Now I put them together up here at the top of the halo. This is because for some reason they don't stand up as straight as I'd like them to. So what I do is I give it a little spot gluing on the top of the back of the halo, and that seems to help hold it in place more. Now, time for the head. So we're going to find my marble here. There it is. And these aren't really expensive. This may be the only thing you'll have to buy. You can go to any secondhand store, Goodwill. You'll probably find these in gross. A lot of people like to use these for putting in flower vases and things like that. Sorry, I'm my own lighting technician, so I had to reposition it. Now, we're going to take and glue the top of the cork. So I'm going to hold the crown again, or the halo, put a drop right in the center, and you don't need a lot, not even a grain of it, and you put the head on like that. And there you go. A little fine tuning, but not really necessary. So I just pull off all the little glue stringers, and there you have it, an ornament, and a nice gift for somebody who's collecting ornaments for their tree. And this is also a great craft you can do with the kids over the holiday vacation as well. So there you have it. Again, look me up on Patreon. I'll have that link in there, my Etsy site, and I will be putting out more videos of other things that I've created that I think are pretty cool, including things like this. I took a rubber stamp, got some purple ink, and some stamps I actually found in the garbage. Had the wine stamp in it and the grape stamp. So I just took half the grape stamp on one side, wine on the other, and I made my own face plates for kitchen or anywhere. And I've done this with several different types, the switch and the outlets as well. And I've also taken things like, this is the buckles off of a belt, and made bug eyes. And again, you can go further. And I took copper and whatnot. That one I have to redo. Anyway, there you go. Your cork angel. Thank you. Subscribe, like this video, and share it with your friends. Happy holidays, happy Yule, and love and light. Thank you.